Yesterday was Christmas, and I hope it was a day filled with joy for you. I can imagine our scenes were similar. Delicious food, the warmth of friends and family, and of course, the presents. Those gifts wrapped in colorful papers and ribbons waiting under the tree, sparking curiosity and excitement in everyone, especially the youngest, but also up to the oldest as well. That thrill, right? I mean, the fun of unwrapping a gift. You've got the paper that's crinkling in your hands and the anticipation building, only to discover that maybe something wasn't quite what you had in mind. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love Chia Pets as much as the next person. I do, really. And the Bob Ross one, well, it's just a classic. But perhaps there was a specific something that you were hoping for. But instead, what you found was different, leaving you with a little mix of surprise and maybe just a dash of disappointment. That moment of mixed feelings, that souffle of disappointment, it's an interesting space to be in. And you might already sense where this is heading. But think about it. What do we do with the unexpected gift? I mean, especially that game, The White Elephant, where, you get a gift and someone can take it and this and that. But how often do we encounter the unforeseen moments in life, right? And then when we're given something, and this is more than just a box with paper, we're talking about life here. How do we find meaning in something that we're given that we weren't expecting? Right? Like when life unwraps a gift, quote unquote, especially one that we never asked for, or that was different from what we were anticipating, how do we unbox the hidden purpose behind it? It's like getting a present with no returns or gift receipts, and you're challenged to wear it, to make it a part of your life, even if it doesn't fit too comfy at first. But it's in these moments, when we're faced with the no return gifts of life, that things really take an interesting turn. So today, we're going to unwrap the unexpected, but in a different way, a way that invites us to embrace the unexpected surprises and lessons that they bring. Okay? Here, imagine the story. This is completely fictional, but I'm sure it's probably happened before. And maybe even to some of you that are listening. If you're in a safe place, let's close our eyes. Picture a young girl, maybe about 8 years old or so, wide-eyed and full of excitement, waking up on Christmas morning. Now, she's been dreaming of a particular gift. And it's this beautiful doll that she saw in a store window, right? It's dressed in this blue velvet dress, and it resembles her the way she looks. And she's been hinting about this doll for months, hoping that her parents caught on. So finally, the moment arrives, Christmas morning. There's a box under the tree, perfectly sized for this doll. Her heart is racing as she unwraps it, but what she finds inside isn't the doll. Instead, it's a set of books, and they're adventure stories about brave girls in faraway lands. Initially, there's a flicker of disappointment in her eyes, as to be expected, right? But as she begins to flip through the pages, her imagination catches fire, and she begins to be transported to worlds that she never even knew existed, her mind expanding with every turn of the page. If you want, you can open your eyes or you can keep them closed, but the story isn't just about a girl and her unexpected Christmas gift. It's about life and how it hands us the unexpected. We all have hopes and dreams and specific expectations of how things should go. But what happens when life unwraps a different reality? I mean, think about it. Have you ever had your heart set on something, only for life to hand you something else? Maybe it was a job that you wanted, but you didn't get, or a relationship that didn't work out the way you hoped, or Just a path that you were certain was yours to walk, only to find it blocked. Let's be honest with ourselves. In these moments, it's only natural to feel a sense of loss or disappointment, and that's okay. But what if, like the girl in her books, there's something more in these unexpected outcomes? What if these moments are gifts in disguise? Chances for us to grow and to learn, and to learn about places and explorations and people and things and paths that we never even imagined. Well, today we are going to unwrap the unexpected. I'm Chad Lawson, and let's calm it down in 3, 2, 1. Life can sometimes look like those presents under the tree, right? The wrapping paper is just the first thing you see, and it's like life's surprises. They might seem a mystery, wrapped in glitter and bows, but once you look deeper, you begin to unwrap the real value of something new. But let's be honest, there are times when what life gives us feels like a gift that we would rather hide in a closet or maybe even just give away to someone else. But I want to challenge you with this. Why would you want to give away something that's meant just for you? I'm going to say that again. Why would you want to give away something that's intentionally meant just for you? Life's unexpected moments are like special gifts made just for you. They may not always be what we want, but they often bring lessons and experiences that we actually need. And these surprises, well, they can teach us important things, like how to be strong and how to solve problems and how to understand others better. And so rather than hiding these gifts or passing them on to someone else, I want us to try to see what these gifts are actually all about. Let's learn from them. We might find that these unexpected parts of life are exactly what help us grow and become better people. And while life doesn't always give us what we wish for, I'm not telling you anything you don't know, but it often gives us those things, those lessons. I mean, does anyone really ask for socks for Christmas? But come the first week of January, we're griping that not a single pair can be found. When we begin accepting and exploring these unwanted gifts, we might actually find our true path and a lot of happiness along the way, even when wearing a fresh pair of socks. So today, I'm going to share 2 ways to unwrap the unexpected, to help you make the most of these life surprises, to not only embrace the unknown, but to also find joy and growth in it. So grab some eggnog, or maybe you're like me, just currently sipping on some Earl Grey. But whatever your choice, you might want to jot these next points down. Keep them somewhere handy, so when life does hand you a box of what the heck, you'll be ready with some ideas on how to handle. Okay? Are you ready? Let's dive in. The first one I like to call the ornament designer's perspective. I'm going to say that again because it's a mouthful. The ornament designer's perspective. This is where we create beauty from fragments. Think of yourself as someone who makes beautiful holiday ornaments. Everything is perfectly laid out in place. Your design is ready. All the materials are at hand. The room is peaceful. Maybe you've got some great music playing in the background. But then, for whatever reason, an ornament shatters unexpectedly. As you reach for the broom and the dustpan, you stop. You ask yourself, is it really a total loss? You begin to look at the pieces, and instead of tossing the broken pieces, you begin to see them differently. And so you find a way to assemble these fragments into something new and really unique. Well, this is like facing disappointments in life. Things don't go as planned. But what you can do is you can begin to gather these pieces, broken as they may seem, and begin to craft them into something beautiful. Easier said than done, right? I know. But it's a really wonderful way to turn problems into chances to be creative and to actually grow and to build something that's actually yours, totally yours. Here, let me show you how. Let's try to build something new from broken pieces, okay? First things first, we need to gather your pieces. Let's say you didn't get a promotion that you were hoping for. So this is a chance to stop and reflect on what this process taught you. I know a lot of times we don't want to do this, but it's important because in this, maybe you discovered how strong you are, your own resilience. You might have realized that you're stronger and can actually handle tough situations better than you thought. Or you might have maybe identified some blind spots or some areas where you could improve your skills. I know it's tough because sometimes we don't want to look at our blind spots. We don't want to look at our weaknesses. But I want to encourage you. Think of these as pieces of a broken ornament that you're beginning to collect. Write down what your thoughts are, what your collected pieces are. And take note. Take note of how you're feeling during this. Did you feel determined? Were you surprised or maybe even a bit relieved? Writing down these lessons and acknowledging these emotions, it helps your understanding of the process. It's like piecing together the broken ornaments into something new. And then when we do this, you're beginning to gain a clearer picture of your strengths and the areas that maybe would have never happened had this not been the case. But Chad, you say, I have no idea how to even recognize what my pieces are. I understand. So I'm going to give you some examples, right? Let's dive in. So determining your pieces actually involves a bit of introspection, right? So here's a way to guide this process. The first thing is to reflect on the situation, as I mentioned. Think back to the event. In this case, not getting the promotion. So what happened exactly? Try to recall the details, as hard as they may be. And then we want to identify your reaction. How did you react initially, right? Knee-jerk reaction. What were your thoughts? What were your feelings? Did you feel disappointed? Did you feel angry? Did you feel motivated or something else? Write it down. And this is where we begin to look for learnings. After the initial reaction, right? After that first shock or wave or whatever it may be, and you've begun to collect yourself, ask yourself, what did I learn? Maybe you recognize, you know what, you handled disappointment pretty all right. Or maybe you've identified areas that you need growth in. And then with that, step 4, we begin to consider changes in our perspective. How has your view of this situation changed over time? Once the initial shock is past, you've collected yourself. How has your view on this process changed over time? Have you gained any new insights? Because if we're not looking for insights, then we're not looking for growth. Just in everything, in every part of life, no matter what it may be, and not necessarily just about not getting a promotion or a job. How has your view on the situation you're in changed over time? And what have you gained with new insights? And then I want you to acknowledge your emotions. Write down how you felt during all of these stages. Did your feeling evolved from frustration to acceptance, or maybe from frustration to determination, or frustration to relief? And a long exhale after really looking at the details. And then finally, I think it's really important to seek feedback. Sometimes talking to a close friend or a mentor or family member, they can give you insights. Maybe there's an area you missed or that you've overlooked, or maybe they can just give you praise, which is also great, but they can show you some strengths. And if you allow them, they can also show you some areas to improve on, which is really hard. I get it. So your pieces, I want you to understand, your pieces aren't just about the unexpected gift, quote unquote, itself, but it's how you respond, your feelings. Now, how did you respond when you got those socks in Christmas or the Bob Ross Chia pet, right? How did you respond? What are your feelings? And the growth that comes from these unexpected, quote unquote, gifts. Because believe it or not, these pieces, they form the foundation of your next creation, of your next point in life, of your next morning. All of these pieces form your next stage in life. So what is the next step? Well, this is where we imagine something new, okay? Picture this like planning a new ornament design with the pieces you have. Okay, let's go a little further with this. If you've realized you want to get better at communicating, why not try out a public speaking club nearby? Or even signing up for an online course about talking more effectively. You're taking a broken piece and you're trying to put this into a new creation by doing this. Now, use these pieces to think of a new goal. Let's say you realize that you're super strong, you're resilient, you made it through. Why not use this strength to try new things now at work? Or maybe you need to improve in some areas, so signing up for a class at a local community center. But if you want to go even simpler, I love doing this myself, start with just a number of TED videos. Watch them again and again and again. There is so much wealth free online. It's just a matter of looking and being open to learning a new approach or a new perspective. But imagine something new with the pieces you have in front of you. And then the third step in all of this, let's put it all together. Pull out the glue or duct tape or whatever that will keep things together and start acting on your plan. If you want to take on new challenges, volunteer for a tough project. If it's learning new skills, begin that class or use what you learn at work. But it's like piecing together your broken ornaments into something new and unique. And I want you to remember, it's okay to start small. Please start small. If you're aiming for new challenges at work, it doesn't have to be the big, huge project that everyone's looking at right away. Small steps are still progress, and they can actually be just as fulfilling. But I want you to hear this, though. You know how some ornaments on a tree are special? They tell a story. Maybe one you made when you were a child and you've kept all these years, or one that commemorates a big moment in life, like a wedding or a new city or just some big event. Each year, you pull these out of the bin and you go down memory lane as you put them on the tree. Well, just like this special ornament on the holiday tree, what you create from your experiences, that's just as unique, and it tells your story. Each piece that you've used is a part of your story, showing how you've grown and how you've learned. So to recap all of this, gather your pieces, write them down, put them together. Imagine something new, and then begin to put all of these things together. Before we move on to our second way of embracing life's surprises, these unexpected gifts, I want to take a moment to talk about something that could help us find some balance and peace in our everyday. So you've probably heard that word microdosing before, or maybe you haven't, but you know that just right feeling when your body and your mind are really at peace, like after a workout or a nice long shower, when you're relaxed, and you're focused and even just a little energized, being in the zone, some people call it. Well, microdosing can help you get into that zone easier and stay there longer. I've heard from listeners who have tried microdose gummies and they've shared some amazing stories. They tell me it's like stepping off of the mental hamster wheel at the end of a long day. Just half a gummy helps them unwind and lets go of stress without feeling out of it. It's about finding some relaxation without losing focus or energy. If you're curious about microdosing THC and want to learn more, head over to microdose.com and use the code CALM, CALM, to get free shipping and 30% off your first order. Again, that's microdose.com, code CALM, CALM, microdose.com, code CALM for 30% off. Okay, feeling a little bit more centered? Excellent. Now, we just talked about turning tough times into chances to learn and grow. Now let's move to our next step for dealing with life's unexpected gifts. And this one is about being flexible and creative and kind of like a fun holiday activity that we all know. And of course, what would be a podcast episode without my referencing cookies? So this is what I call the gingerbread architect's adaptability. Building with a twist. Wait, what? The gingerbread architect's adaptability. Building with a twist. Yes, you heard it. I want you to think of yourself as someone who makes gingerbread houses, right? When you're building one, sometimes the pieces just don't fit perfectly, or the icing doesn't stick right, or the kids, the kids, yes, they keep eating the gumdrops. No, really, just blame it on the kids. But instead of worrying about it, you decide to get creative and make some changes. This is just like the unexpected gifts in our life. When things don't go as planned, don't stress. It's okay. I know, easier said than done, right? But instead of worrying about making everything perfect, think like someone that designs gingerbread houses, who makes changes and tries new ideas. The gingerbread house turns out unique, super special, and is often way more interesting than if everything had gone to plan and looked like just everyone else's. In life, when things don't go as expected, you can use the same kind of flexibility and creativity as a gingerbread architect. Here, let me show you. The first step is to identify the change. Okay, it's all about noticing when things start to veer off course from what you had planned. This could be anything, big or small. So for instance, imagine you've been looking forward to a vacation, right? And suddenly it gets canceled. Weather, flights, monetary, whatever. Or maybe there's an event that you've been excited about and it just gets postponed indefinitely. It's these moments of change, these shifts in what you expected, that these are your starting points. So pay attention to these changes as they happen, okay? We want to acknowledge that they're altering your plans and to recognize the feelings that come with them. It's like I said earlier, are you disappointed? Are you frustrated? Maybe even relieved, right? But when we begin to identify the change, it isn't just about the event itself, but it's also understanding your reaction. And this awareness is super important because just like a gingerbread architect adjusting the pieces to fit, eventually it all comes together when the perspective is right. So with this next step, we create a plan. When things don't go as expected, think of a new way to approach. I know that sounds almost lame even when I say it, but it's like making lemonade out of lemons, right? If your trip gets canceled, why not try to have a mini holiday at home or maybe somewhere close by? Check out some places in your city that you've never been to, or even just relax at home with your favorite book or just binge watching something. And if a big event you were looking forward to gets postponed, find ways to enjoy something smaller, maybe at home. Maybe have a themed dinner night or a chat with friends online or play games with your family. Oh my gosh, we play so much Skip-Bo and Uno. It's amazing. But you can even spend time on hobbies that you just don't normally get to do. But this step is all about using what you have and making something enjoyable out of it. And instead of focusing on what's not happening, try to come up with new, fun things to do. It's about making the best of the situation and finding happiness in your plan. Now, to be clear, this approach isn't just for when plans fall through. It's also for bigger life changes. Whether it's dealing with a job layoff or coping with a loss, the idea is to find ways to adapt and to move forward. If you're facing a job loss, for example, this could be a chance to explore new career paths or passions that you've always wanted to pursue. It might mean updating your skills with a course, or maybe even starting your own small business. In the case of a personal loss, while it's important to allow time for grieving, it is. You might also find new ways to honor the memory of a loved one. This can involve starting a project that was meaningful to them or volunteering for a cause that they really cared about. But creating a new plan in these situations, it's about looking for light in the dark areas. It's about finding steps, no matter how small, that can lead you to healing, to growth, to new opportunities. And then it involves knowing that there's a change and accepting the emotions that come with it. And then eventually, gradually, finding a way to rebuild and to reshape the path, which then leads me to the next and final step. Enjoy and learn from what's new. Whether it's getting into a new hobby after losing your job or finding strength after losing someone special, this part is all about making the most of it. Say you're starting a new job after being laid off. Dive in, go to events, learn from others, and don't worry about making mistakes. Every new challenge is a chance to grow and find out more about what you're good at. And if you're dealing with a loss, embracing the new might mean starting new traditions to remember your loved one, or finding comfort with friends and family. But it's about letting those new things help you heal. This step is really about living in the now and seeing the good in the new paths that you're on. Even though the changes were tough, no one is denying that whatsoever. They've brought you new chances to grow. It's all about seeing how far you've come, learning from everything that's happened, and looking forward to what's next with some hope. And when we begin to try to enjoy or learn from these new experiences, it's when you begin to open yourself up to new chances. And then you begin to know who you are. Who are you? No, really. Asking yourself, who are you? When no one is around, who are you? As this begins to broaden your awareness of yourself and the world around you. So, to bring this back, identify the change, create a new plan, and enjoy what you can, and learn from what's new. So as we begin to close this episode, I want to circle back to the beginning. Do you remember the girl in her books? If you imagine her years later, a well-read, well-traveled woman with a mind as wide as the oceans, her unexpected gift didn't just give her stories, it gave her a new lens through which to see the world. Because in life, we all face moments of unmet expectations, the presence, if you will, that you weren't expecting, but ta-da, that has your name on it, whether you want it or not. But if we approach these moments with an open heart and a curious mind, who knows what unexpected gifts we might find. I know it's hard. I know sometimes we don't even want to pretend to move forward, but I want to encourage you. I want to encourage you to appreciate the unexpected, to adapt to changes and to try to find even some satisfaction in this process, in this journey, wherever it leads you. You don't have to like it per se. You don't. But give it a chance. Be open to the idea of the gift. It's yours. And what you decide to do with it, it's entirely up to you. But give it a chance. I mean, who knows? They may just become your favorite new socks that you hide from your kids because they keep stealing yours. Not like I'm speaking from experience or anything at all. Nope, not at all. As a dad with 2 boys, aged 10 and 13, that continually try to find my socks and steal them, I don't hide my socks in my office cabinet. No, I really don't. Shh, don't tell them. But with that, I want to wrap up this episode, no pun, just like a gift. A gift with a ribbon of gratitude and a bow of newfound perspective, right? Sometimes the best stories often begin with the unexpected. I want to wish you a happy holiday. I hope it's been a wonderful time. And while you may already be thinking about next week as the new year begins, I want to encourage you to be present today, this day. Next week, next year, they'll come soon enough. But for now, just be present. Be present in the moment you're in. Thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for living. And thank you for sharing the gift of life with me in this podcast. It means everything. Until next time, be kind to your mind. And I hope you will join me again as we calm it down.
To find more episodes of Calm It Down, see where I may be appearing in your area, or just simply want to know where to send me some chocolate chip cookies, visit calmitdownpodcast.com. This podcast was written and produced by yours truly, Chad Lawson, composer, pianist, and nationally recognized Sweet Tooth. The views, expressions, and techniques in this episode are of my personal opinion and not intended, nor should they, serve as a substitute for medical advice or diagnosis rendered to you by your individual doctor or other healthcare provider. Only a licensed physician should evaluate your situation, provide a diagnosis, or render other medical advice to you, and you should only act upon the advice of this physician. Now, I'm an extreme empath by nature, but my profession is that of a composer and pianist, not a licensed therapist or physician. I hear from thousands of listeners how my music has helped them through various stages of emotional needs, and I simply want to offer this in future podcast episodes to aid those needs. So to find a list of licensed professionals in your area, please visit calmitdownpodcast.com. And if you've enjoyed today's episode, please leave a review, or better yet, share it with a friend. While it takes less than 60 seconds to do, its impact will last for years to come, as every little bit helps in growing the awareness and the importance of mental and emotional health. Thank you for listening. Thank you for living. And until next time, be kind to your mind and join me again as we calm it down.